Miyo, the daughter of an unfortunate arranged marriage, found herself in an even more challenging situation after the passing of her mother and the arrival of her stepmother, who had a daughter named Kaya. With this development, Miyo's life took a drastic turn as she became the humble servant of these two women. They treated her with disdain, repeatedly reminding her of the supposed shame associated with her mother. Regrettably, even her father endorsed these hurtful sentiments, apologizing for his past connection to Miyo's mother. One day, a man named Tatsuishi arrived, bearing a marriage proposal for one of the daughters. The household employees speculated that the proposal was for Miyo, given her age of 19. As Miyo diligently swept the surroundings, a boy named Koji approached her. He stood out as one of the few individuals who truly appreciated her. Koji shared that his father had come to confer with her family, seizing the opportunity to visit in the process. He offered Miyo some candies, a gesture that lit up her face with happiness. Her current circumstances had prevented her from enjoying such simple pleasures. Koji pledged to bring her sweets more often, desiring to see her smile and gain strength, even as an ordinary boy. After dinner, Koji's father engaged Miyo in conversation, discussing her attendance at an upcoming meeting scheduled for the following afternoon. The following day, while engaged in washing some pots, Miyo accidentally stained her face. Her stepsister arrived on the scene, quickly exploiting the situation to ridicule her. She insisted that Miyo keep her blemished face hidden from the guests. After all, Miyo had become the shame of her family. In the afternoon, our protagonist encountered Koji, who, for some reason, donned Western clothes and appeared visibly disappointed. He mentioned that he was at that place to discuss something significant with his father. To conclude their interaction, he handed Miyo a box of sweets and left with a hint of frustration, lamenting the current state of affairs. Following this, Miyo was summoned by her father, who was waiting for her in the main hall. This triggered memories of their past conversations, even though the situation seemed improbable and devoid of any illusions. Miyo couldn't help but feel excited at the prospect that Koji's visit might be a marriage proposal. When she entered the room, Miyo's family was gathered, along with Koji, who appeared somber. Her father disclosed that an agreement had been reached for the Koji family to merge with the Saimori family. Miyo would become a wife in order to preserve the family lineage. There was a moment of silence, interrupted only by Miyo's sister making a hurtful remark, asking her to rate herself from 1 to 10 based on how undesirable she felt. This comment, with a rating request, weighed heavily on both Miyo and Koji, dampening the atmosphere. Miyo had believed herself to be prepared for this outcome due to her servitude, acknowledging that marriage was an unlikely prospect. Adding to the blow, her father revealed that he had already arranged her marriage to another family. Miyo would have to leave her home, as preparations had already been made with a family named Kyoka. This family, however, seemed to carry a dubious reputation in terms of how they treated their wives. Miyo's sister pondered how long Miyo would be able to endure this situation. Without granting her an opportunity to voice her thoughts, they informed Miyo that she would need to depart the following day. Thus, two hearts shattered in a single day. As the meeting concluded, Koji caught sight of Miyo, triggering recollections of his conversation with his father. At first, he opposed this decision. His father told him that if he cared about Miyo, he should ask her father for her hand in marriage as well, to help her escape the depressive household and find happiness. Unfortunately, it wasn't possible for him to be with her, and he was ordered to accept the commitment for the sake of his family. Koji sought forgiveness from Miyo, admitting he felt like a coward who couldn't do anything to help. Miyo reassured him that she held no resentment or anger towards him, having let go of those emotions long ago. Their conversation was interrupted by Kaya, who inquired about their discussion, but Koji brushed it off, bidding Miyo goodbye and expressing gratitude for her kindness, before departing as Kaya smirked. Later that night, Miyo prepared to leave, and a servant brought her a kimono that she was ordered to wear by her father. The servant also cautioned her about her father, describing him as cold and ruthless, having scared off all his previous fiancés. The day arrived, and Miyo, with her few belongings, was ready to depart from her home. Despite the mistreatment she endured, it was still a significant loss for her. She reminisced about her childhood, when she was happy with her mother until her mother's untimely death left her alone and despised by the woman who took her mother's place. Miyo's journey continued, and after a long walk, she finally reached her destination, which was a somewhat humbler place than she had anticipated. She was received by one of the maids from the Kudo family, who mentioned they had been expecting her. The maid led her to the study of her future husband, and she introduced herself courteously. However, her greeting was met with a reprimand from the man, chastising her for bowing for too long. When Miyo apologized, he reproached her again, mentioning he hadn't asked for an apology. As Miyo raised her head, she caught sight of him, and her initial impression was candidly colorful. Damn, he's handsome. A real looker. Her thoughts couldn't deny the strong attraction she felt. With this unexpected meeting, her life, which had seemed stagnant, began to regain its momentum, and hope rekindled within her. He informs her that as his new fiancée, she will be required to comply with his every command. If he tells her to leave, she must go, and if he instructs her to die, she is expected to do so without hesitation. She is to voice no complaints or objections. However, he's taken aback when she accepts this without protest, even inquiring if there's anything else she should do. During the night, she is assigned a room of her own. The maid informs her that, despite the prevailing rumors about the young man, he is a good person. As she settles into bed, she notices the high quality of everything around her, a pleasant surprise considering her initial expectations. She had anticipated a more aggressive reception, and perhaps even expulsion from the house. Nevertheless, she believes that the kind treatment she's experiencing might be attributed to her being from the Saimori family, known for their supernatural abilities. These circumstances evoke memories of her childhood when her father used to test them. There was a particular instance involving a box that appeared to hold a spirit within. While the entity seemed invisible to others, it was an unsettling experience for Kaya, which prompted her to try and escape. In contrast, Miyo displayed no reaction, leading her father to deduce her spiritual vision. This divergence in abilities led to their favoring her sister, Kaya, who could fully use her spiritual vision, relegating Miyo to insignificance. As dawn breaks, Miyo is determined to be useful in her new household. Her first task involves preparing food, a skill she has acquired through experience. The woman overseeing her work commends her, acknowledging her culinary prowess. Nonetheless, the woman seems a bit aged, and Kyoka awakens. They offer Kyoka the breakfast Miyo had prepared, and upon learning of this, Kyoka invites Miyo to sit beside him. He suggests she eat before him, expressing suspicions that the food might be poisoned. Miyo, however, declines breakfast, explaining that she can't consume something so light. His refusal saddens the girl, as despite her good intentions, her attempt has resulted in a complete failure. In the afternoon, it becomes evident that the young man is a part of an anti-grotesque unit. This unit instills rigorous discipline to help individuals enhance their supernatural abilities, an untapped potential inherent in their spirits. These abilities adhere to the rules of the world and are essential for combating the grotesques, malevolent spirits that have plagued the nation since its inception. The grotesques pose a threat to humanity, and the only effective means of countering them is through these supernatural capabilities. However, some present members question the necessity of such training. Given that grotesques are nearly extinct and rarely manifest, they argue that mobilization to combat them is infrequent. Kyoka becomes visibly agitated upon hearing this, and in his frustration, he employs his power to destroy one of the training targets. He believes that even though grotesque appearances are rare, these incidents can still lead to substantial damage and chaos. Hence, he advocates for a proactive approach to confront the threat. In his office, Kyoka remains in a foul mood, exacerbated by the teasing of one of his friends. This friend speculates that Kyoka's state is a reaction to the news that one of his other fiancés has fled. However, in reality, Kyoka's thoughts are preoccupied with a different matter. Why is his maid, Yuri, so protective of a certain ring? This behavior strikes him as unusual, as Yuri is not typically so insistent. Meanwhile, Miyo regrets her blunder and contemplates whether she should leave due to her mistake. We also catch a glimpse of Koji's internal struggles. He outwardly pretends to embrace the ongoing developments, yet his true desire is for Miyo to remain safe by his side. He is far from content with his commitment. Later that evening, Kyoka returns home, where Miyo awaits him to offer an apology for her earlier oversight. She understands that her status warrants him having his meals prepared only by someone he trusts. Kyoka reassures her that he didn't suspect the food was poisoned. He simply didn't want to consume a meal prepared by an unfamiliar hand. His reaction at dinner later surprises her. He mentions that the food is cold, prompting yet another apology from Miyo. Kyoka reproaches her for apologizing excessively, wondering why she feels the need to do so. Miyo struggles to provide a satisfying answer, leading to yet another apology. This time, Kyoka requests her not to apologize too much, explaining that excessive apologies can lose their meaning over time. He also inquires if she has eaten anything yet, and upon her negative response, he probes further to ascertain if she is feeling unwell. This display of concern brings a mix of emotions for Miyo, appreciating his care while also recognizing her own limitations. Despite this, he decides to let the matter rest. Kyoka declines her offer of assistance in preparing the bath. Instead of using time to light a fire and heat the water traditionally, he utilizes his supernatural ability to procure hot water. He advises her against unnecessary exertion. This only intensifies Miyo's feelings of inadequacy, as she lacks these extraordinary powers. Growing up with the sole purpose of serving, she feels inherently useless in comparison. Kyoka warns Miyo humorously that if anyone attempts to poison him, he will retaliate by ending their life. He informs her that he has already set up the bathroom for her use before leaving for his own bath. During her bath, Miyo recalls a painful childhood memory. She remembers how her mother's belongings were stolen, and suspecting her stepmother's involvement, she confronted her father in the hopes of receiving support. Unfortunately, her father did not defend her, leading to a brutal beating and humiliation. Miyo was left questioning who was truly at fault, the stepmother or the father who allowed such cruelty to transpire. The next day, it becomes apparent that Yuri had arrived early, debunking Kyoka's excuse from the previous night. The motive behind this fabrication was to allow Miyo to prepare breakfast. Nervous yet determined, Miyo, with Yuri's assistance, successfully prepares the meal. Kyoka is pleased with the food, and his expression of gratitude brings Miyo to tears. It has been so long since anyone offered praise or acceptance, evoking further curiosity within Kyoka regarding Miyo's past. Kyoka is intrigued by Miyo's humble appearance, wearing tattered clothes that could scarcely be called attire, and her frail form suggesting a challenging life. Her hands bear the marks of labor, a stark contrast to her presumed background. Kyoka begins to realize that Miyo may hold answers to questions he seeks, prompting him to instruct Yuri to keep a close watch on her while he delves into investigating the Saimori family. Yuri notes Kyoka's interest in his new fiancé and cautions him to display genuine emotions, suggesting that a lack of sincerity could become problematic. Kyoka reassures her that he hopes to develop such feelings in due time. He shares his observations that most women who enter into such engagements seek wealth and status. This observation underscores the underlying motives of many such unions. In a surprising turn, Kyoka's father phones Miyo's father, indicating a subtle shift in dynamics and potential intrigue. The situation takes an unexpected turn as it's revealed that Miyo is to be handed over to the Tatsuichi family due to her valuable lineage, which carries the blood of the Ushua family on her mother's side. However, the man dismisses any concern for Miyo's fate, indicating that her life is no to his concern. At night, Yoka informs Miyo that he plans to go to the city. When she asks what he'd like for dinner, he surprises her by inviting her to accompany him. Despite her initial refusal, he insists that it wouldn't be a bother and she doesn't need a specific reason to go. He instructs her to wear the clothes she had on when she first arrived, hinting at an impromptu outing. Miyo begins to view this as her first date, hastily arranged. As Miyo prepares, Yuri arrives and suggests a bit of makeup. Lacking experience, Miyo accepts Yuri's help, resulting in an impressive transformation. Kyoka's undeniable awe as he gazes at her confirms the impact. They leave the house and must pass through the area where Kyoka works. There, they encounter his friend Goto, who, despite his less refined manners, is a good friend with superior skills. Upon reaching the city, Kyoka asks if Miyo has any specific purchases in mind, but she claims she doesn't require anything. Thus, they decide to explore the city together. During their walk, they become a bit distracted, prompting Miyo's customary apology. However, Kyoka reassures her that nobody in the city judges her, not even himself. His kind demeanor leaves her wondering why he's considered cold and ruthless, as he appears quite the opposite. Meanwhile, back at the Saimori residence, the discussion shifts to Miyo's father confronting Koji's father. Miyo's father reproaches Koji's father for abiding by the treaty that led Miyo to be promised to another family, rather than allowing her to marry his eldest son as he had initially requested. Koji's father defends their decision, citing an irresistible proposal the Kudo family received, which ultimately led to the current arrangement. The elderly man emphasizes the value of Miyo due to her connection with the Ushua family. However, the man responds that Emilo did not inherit supernatural abilities, yet he believes his own children could still develop them. His obsession with obtaining the exceptional powers of the Ushua family, rumored to be remarkable, stems from his desire to augment the strength of his shield. Both of their positions would stand to benefit. Miyo's father suggests that the Igo family might discard her once they realize she lacks powers, but there's the possibility they would still be obligated to keep her. The question arises whether the man would easily let go of his eldest daughter, who could potentially serve as a crucial asset. The man, however, reassures that her life holds little significance for him. He expresses a lack of concern whether she lives or dies, indicating a chilling detachment. This only fuels the old man's determination to retain possession of Miyo. Shifting focus back to Miyo and Kyoka, they find themselves in a well-established clothing store, a place their family has patronized for years. The store attendant is surprised to see Kyoka with a girl, assuming that he has finally found love. However, more significantly, the girl's clothes are outdated, and she appears to mend and fix them herself whenever possible. Given her age and family background, this behavior is unusual. While choosing materials for her clothing, Miyo spots some fabric with cherry leaf patterns, deeming them perfect even if the season changes. She makes a request for one of the garments to be made from this fabric. In an interesting exchange, the attendant urges Kyoka not to abandon the girl, comparing her to a diamond that merely requires a bit of polishing. She implies that he possesses the ability to refine her with his love and wealth. Continuing their day out, Miyo and Kyoka sit down to eat, and he makes an unusual request. He asks her to smile more often. She finds the request odd but apologizes for any audacity, assuring him that she's not upset. As they converse, they both contemplate the possibility of their impending marriage if things go well. Miyo hopes for a brighter future, even though she knows she must eventually reveal her lack of supernatural abilities. Despite her fears, she wishes to stay by his side for as long as possible, even if it means facing consequences for keeping her secret. Later that night, Kyoka leaves a gift outside Miyo's door. The maid, who stumbles upon the gift, interprets it as a marriage proposal, furthering Miyo's excitement. While Kyoka downplays the significance, the old woman understands that Miyo is unique among the girls who have entered their household. The happiness radiating from Miyo upon receiving the gift is evidence of its impact. In the following days, Kyoka's investigation uncovers details about Miyo's family. He learns that Shinichi, Miyo's father, had been involved with her stepmother even before marrying her, under circumstances similar to Koji's situation. They were forced into relationships they didn't love, leading to the birth of their respective children. This revelation sheds light on the deep animosity Miyo's stepmother harbors for her and her mother. Furthermore, Kyoka confirms that Miyo does not possess supernatural abilities like her stepsister Kaya, who exhibited spiritual sensitivity from a young age, possibly contributing to the mistreatment Miyo endured. Kyoka realizes that even a new kimono won't mend the emotional wounds inflicted by her family's mistreatment. His investigation takes an even more surprising turn when he learns that Miyo's mother was from the Ushua family, a family with the ability to influence the human mind. The mention of the Ushua family stirs curiosity, and Kyoka seeks information on the woman from the Ushua family who married into the Saimori family. Unfortunately, the investigator is unaware of her path into the Saimori family. As Kyoka departs the location, he senses being watched and uses his abilities to burn paper-like objects resembling birds that were following him. With this, the third chapter of this captivating and romantic anime draws to a close. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more anime videos.